It's a great field. It's a fantastic field. You got to be a nut to leave it. It's a nice collection of people, the camaraderie, everything. And beside all this, my wife's love was really this. But with the kids, she could do less. So she was depending on me, and she'd follow me and do this, but that she needed me to continue in it. So when I quit, the hardest thing was knowing that she'd never make another one. That's not easy stuff. No, I don't know. It's too easy to package. I just knew in a feeling that in films, it's too much money, it's too much people, men, money, and materials. There's too much of it all. If you like that kind of stuff, and you like power, and you like running it and whatnot, and I'm good at running things. It was my training, but I don't like it. I didn't find painting until I was 38 years old. 37 actually, and then I found it somewhere in that year, and I stayed in the village a little while painting, and then we went overseas. But I hadn't painted a thing before, ever in my life. I'd been in a lot of museums, and we were enamored of we were very much New Yorkers then, and art was, so in, you couldn't believe in the country. And in New York, it was everything. Not like today, it's entirely different. Yeah, we were making films and everything was just fine, and something began gnawing at me, and it's afterward, especially years and years after, you can go and attribute it to this and that, but it's never like that when you're making a decision. You just know you're bothered about something, and in this particular case, I wanted to stop making films to find out what it is I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And there was nothing wrong with film, so a hard decision, real hard. And as I said, I played chess for almost 8 months at Figaro's Cafe in the village, getting nowheres except getting a fairly decent chess player and getting a mad wife as I came home at 5, 6 o'clock every morning. And one day I said I wanted to paint, and she has a background in painting actually. I had never even touched a brush or anything. She has a master's in art. And she said, "You're really a professional, and literally, we were having our 5th child. Not born yet, but in a big belly. And what are we going to do in this now? Anyway, she went along with me, so the brave one was her, not me, just to go along with it. Taught me how to stretch a canvas. Said, go on out to an art store and ask them for some paints, and there we went. And I started to paint. I took a studio on the east side. I don't know how long it was, probably about 6 to 8 months. I sold my first canvas. We were broke by this time, very broke, and owed a lot of rent and so on. But nobody was pushing us because they didn't believe this was happening. We were very successful filmmakers, but it was happening. And I wanted a gallery. My wife happened to see a place in the village that was empty, a little studio. I took it on the street. That worked. And while I was in this little dump in the wall, she found the big one around the corner next to the Circle in the Square, which is a big theater. And I walked in, and I didn't have the money, and I said, okay, I'll paint the whole thing, get it ready, and we had a gallery. And with that, I had the force to be able to get out of the country, and we went to Spain. I just had enough to buy the tickets, had $650 left over. Took our 3 young kids, the oldest was 5. One was 1, 2 cats and a dog, and that was it. We were gone. We were heading to southern Spain for some kind of crazy reasons. Somebody who we met in New York while I was playing chess, who had been to Andalusia, had been on the Mediterranean coast, and said, boy, it's like the Côte d'Azur was in the 1920s, and so on and so on. And of course my wife said, yeah, Franco's leading it, and I mean, they've just been through a civil war, and the last great dictator, and all this kind of stuff. And also, you're Jewish, and there was a thing like the Inquisition, and all kinds of stuff. Nothing was going to stop me. That's where we went. We went to Spain. And once landing there, I don't think there was a moment in the whole 28 years there that we didn't really love. It just worked, that's all. We were expatriates. We had left the country. And it worked, my own career. There weren't any tourists at that time, so the chances of selling a painting in Spain were crazy, whereas in New York was the center of the art world. So to leave it, you know, the whole thing didn't make sense, except I could teach myself and I could work it out. And that's what I did with painting. I worked it out. I painted. It was a great life. As I say, we were really broke. And Barbie's in some kind of a plastic hotel and so on, crying away with the kids who were yelling because the milk isn't milk, it's goat's milk. And, yeah, everybody's this. And so I bought tickets. We were going to go to Israel. Greece first and then Israel. And with the money I had left, in those days, $400 carried you a long way. And we were going to go, I think, Greece first. And that last day I was out and I saw the house. I didn't see the house. I saw a tower somewhere up on the road that this guy was showing me, an American. And I said, I'll take it. And we worked it out. It was $80 a month. And that was going to be a lot, but there it was. Then I brought Barbie up to take a look at it, and oh my God. I mean, it was 21 rooms. Huge tower with Virginia creeper on it, and big, I mean, just unbelievable, 10 acres of ground. And as we came up to the door to our casa and whatnot, there's 4 people outside in white gloves, right? And I looked, what is this? They are included in the $80 a month. You have to feed them, but that's their pay. That was the wage at the time. So that's how life began in Spain. Paintings are for looking at. Somebody paints and somebody looks. And all the business of style, schmile is neither here nor there. It's of worth, it has something of feeling, or it doesn't, to me. And that's all I'm after in my work is feelings. That's hard to describe what it is, and it develops over a long period of time. What I choose to paint the things that have feelings in life. I paint women. That's number one. It could stop there, you know, but I paint women, especially young women. I think they're great. I think all women are great. I paint pueblos, these villages in Spain that have been lived in for, some of them, 2,000 years at the time of the Romans. And they're all together. They're a workable unit. There's a thing of beauty, really, in a symphony. I paint bulls. They're probably men. I paint horses because they're so free. It's just the spirit and everything, and also I love horses, but it's just what they represent. I paint seas and marihatas, which are wild seas. Well, I spent years and years watching fishing boats coming off the sea. So, you know, I paint the things that have an emotional base to me and feeling, and I express my life through them. I'm not enamored of regimen, put it that way. And I don't want anything to tie me down. And the things that tie us down the most, I think, are ourselves and our own habits and our own ways of doing things. And so you got to stay loose, or else nothing breaks in, nothing changes. So if you get a brush, you know, and I mean, you can start out on a cheap pure bristle made in Indonesia. Okay, for $2.50 or something. But if you paint with it and it dries, you know, with your paint, you end up with something, you know, that's like a rock and it has edges to it. And you stick this into India ink or something, and you go like this, it's going to do things. What did I drop? That's all right. It's going to do things as you go. And it's going to do things that you don't know about. And then, but pretty soon, move and so on, and some very nice things are going to come up that you couldn't have dreamt of in a million years. So yeah, loose, you know. But it's all about feelings. It has to feel to me. At first I go swoosh on a canvas, and then whatever I see I want to change. Until I see nothing more and I'm just wrapped up in what I'm looking at and I stop. I'm busy all the time. I work. I like working. And I like working at exactly what I want to work at. And although at times in life that isn't the case, but in our lives, because I turned to painting, it's almost 99% of the case. And I get passionate in what I'm doing. We were passionate at collecting artifacts. We were passionate in learning, traveling all of Europe and 40, 50 days a year, every single year, and camping out and seeing anything of any cultural significance